Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. The Anthony Joshua Kubrat Pulev fight, well, it has now been confirmed for October 28th in Wales at the Principality Stadium, which many of us will know it as the former Millennium Stadium. So Joshua's promoter, Eddie Hearn, he has confirmed that they are looking to pack out the stadium with somewhere in the vicinity of 80,000 in attendance. Really, I can't wait for this one. It's sure to be another spectacle. And, I'm feeling a bit short on big-time heavyweight fights in recent months. It's really been a dry spell. And this will be a spectacle. Let alone the fighting, the undercard. Just the event will be a spectacle. But one of the things that has really surprised me with this one, and I'd probably say maybe more than a little surprised, is how dismissive a lot of fans are being of Kubrat Pulev, and that somehow this is a terrible fight and let's get this mandatory out of the way. I couldn't be further from that position. I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think Pulev is going to give Joshua a run for his money, and it will be much more competitive than people think. I'm not saying he's going to win, but it's not going to be a walkover. I'd be shocked if it was. Okay, so let's break it down. Pulev, his record on screen. He's 25-1. Arguably, he's one of the most accomplished fighters along with Povetkin in the division today. He beat Dimitrenko when Dimitrenko was rated as a decent fighter. He took Ustinov's O. He's also got other wins over Tony Thompson, Derek Chisora, and more latterly a faded Sam Peter. Overall, not bad at all. His sole loss came against the irrepressible Vladimir Klitschko, a fight in which he had his flashes, but ultimately he went in with a game plan Klitschko was more than prepared for. And that was arguably one of Klitschko's more dominant wins late on in his career. So you might be thinking, well, what can he do that Vlad couldn't? After all, AJ beat Vlad, so he can beat Pulev, right? Well, this boxing thing, it's not linear. It often doesn't work that way. Just because fighter A beats fighter B doesn't mean he will beat fighter C who lost to fighter B, if you can follow that. After all, styles make fights, and some guys are just more adept and suited to facing and beating guys that other guys can't, and will never be able to, for whatever reason. So Pulev, he has been licking his wounds since 2014 when he suffered his sole loss. And it's taken 3 years for him to climb the mountain again. The only name of note in that time is Chisora. And it's clear to me that he's been uber picky and selective about who he fights. And as a result, he has been flying under the radar. Let's not forget, this is a guy who's been there or thereabouts in the top 5 or so of the heavyweight division for about the past 5 or 6 years. He is not a bum, and this is no gimme fight. I believe that Pulev is still in the tail end of his prime and could be likened to a tiger waiting to pounce on his opportunity. I do see him going into this fight with the learnings from the Klitschko fight under his belt. I don't see him trying to walk AJ down and pressure him to death. I think he's more likely to use his jab, which by the way is a weapon of its own, to keep the distance between him and AJ. I really do see him trying to box smart from mid to long range and trying to avoid getting in close quarters, because he is not going to win a firefight. He just won't. And I guess that's the thing that kind of lets Pulev down here. He doesn't have a devastating one punch of any sort of description that's going to hurt a guy. His jab really is his major weapon. But I'm sure if he gets, he's got enough power in his punches in general to make AJ feel it and respect it if he hits him on the button. And just on that, I do want to see more of AJ. Just to know, is this guy truly legit? I'm not saying he's not, but I want to see more. because the hype train is certainly riding 1,000,000 miles an hour right now, especially after that win over Klitschko. Don't get me wrong, it was a great fight and I loved every minute of it. But Klitschko, and this is what a lot of fans say, was 41. I think the Klitschko of old, say from 5 years ago, probably would have finished Joshua off. But it's kind of a moot point now. Joshua got the win. So for now, I'm happy to say that AJ is the best running around right now until someone proves him otherwise. But questions around his chin, for me, they still persist. Not so much because of that Klitschko fight where he was knocked to the canvas, but more so all the rumours floating around from sparring of him getting dropped. So multiple guys, you've heard the rumours, and that's just the ones we hear about. Obviously, AJ has said in the past he likes to let people hit him so he can feel the power and sort of come up with strategies and, to combat it come fight time and all that sort of thing. But I guess at the end of the day, sparring is sparring. What happens there doesn't ultimately translate into the ring. Well, it doesn't have to. And clearly so far, 19-0, Joshua's doing okay. More than okay. Unified champion. But for me, if Pulev implements a halfway decent strategy, I do see this going into the later rounds. That wouldn't shock me at all. He is a quality fighter. But the way that some fans are carrying on, you would think Hearn is wheeling in the next Eric Molina for AJ to chop up. I think the fact that Pulev posted all that guff a couple of weeks back on Facebook saying he needed 3 to 4 months to train, I think that's been taken the wrong way by some fans. It's been taken by some to be that he was running scared and didn't want that work from AJ. For me, I'm more of the view that his rant about not agreeing to anything was more designed to send a message to his promoters, who he said he didn't really have much to do with in the previous couple of weeks. Clearly, with the fight now being agreed and signed, he's obviously mended a fence or two with the Sauerlands. And he's also sent out a few warning shots to AJ, see on screen. So Pulev says, and this was also on his Facebook, while Joshua is dangerous, his style fits Pulev's perfectly. So I'm just tidying up some of the translated version here, as otherwise it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense otherwise. He added, there won't be much hugs, there will be strong boxing. And at the end he says, he doesn't stand a chance. Confidence indeed. But if you're going into this sort of fight, the biggest one of your life, because let's face it, I think this is a bigger fight than the Klitschko one where he lost. More money, more eyes on it, more prestige. So he has to go in there with confidence, and he's going to say stuff like this. All boxers do it. So a bit of bravado here. I'd like to hear it. Can he win though? Well, I haven't made my mind up on that, so I've been talking him up all this video. I would favour, for now, AJ for a knockout in the later rounds. But I'm going to have a think about this one because I'm not quite ready to rule Pulev out entirely. Because he is a quality boxer. Rest assured, AJ will not be fighting a bum. This guy will be a live body and he will be a handful. So interesting sidebar, we're obviously still waiting on the WBA to come back with what's happening with Joshua's WBA belt. Obviously, WBA mandatory challenger Luis Ortiz, his team set a deadline for the WBA to strip Joshua. Well, they said actually at the end of the 30 days to make the fight that if Joshua hadn't made it with Ortiz, they needed to strip him. So that time has come and gone. We are none the wiser. Eddie Hearn, well, he's obviously saying that the belt is part of the Pulev fight, that AJ's putting it up. But of course, he would say that. He's always going to front this and hope that the WBA comes in behind him. Which, in my pick, AJ probably will keep the belt because the WBA wants a popular champion to represent it. And Ortiz, well, he can decide to wait and just fight Joshua next. He doesn't really lose out. It's a bigger payday for him than any other fight out there. But obviously, if he decides to sit down and wait, that would leave WBC champ Deontay Wilder without a dance partner. And I think we all know Wilder needs Ortiz to make a big fight and potentially claim his scalp for his record. He needs the credibility. So potentially we could see here Wilder left out in the cold looking for other options. But we'll have to wait and see. We haven't heard anything. But Hearn has said he will put it in writing that WBA mandatory challenger Ortiz will be next for AJ should he get past his IBF mandatory Pulev. We'll wait and see. So what do you make of all this? Not just the WBA belt situation, but the wider stuff. Do you think Pulev is going to put up a good fight here? I'm not saying he's going to win, but this is going to be no gimme, no walkover like some fans are indicating. I think it's going to be a really good fight in front of a really good crowd. Looking forward to seeing what the undercard delivers. Hit like, subscribe, drop a comment. I'm out.